Hello, my name is Stephen Murray, and this is The Knoll, an online gathering place for the people of Oak Knoll Lutheran Church and a place to share our community stories. When Clay Haapala approached me about doing an interview about his time on the Synod Candidacy Committee, I said, "That's perfect. What's that?" And I think other people are saying, "What's that?" too. This is probably a good thing to share what this is and how it affects us here at Oak Knoll, and all the good things that come from Clay Haapala's work.
I am sitting here with Clay Haapala, and we are discussing today the Candidacy Committee, which is something that I didn't know really anything about, and we're guessing that a lot of people might not know anything about. And so welcome, Clay, to The Knoll.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you, Erika. Happy to be here and happy to be talking about this topic because I've been involved with this for starting my 6th year. And 5 years ago, I didn't know what this was. But I had recently retired, and Pastor Michelle said to my recently retired self, "Would you be interested in doing something, volunteer for the Synod on this candidacy committee?" And I go, "What's that?" And then I found out. It started with being interviewed by the current chair, who was at that time Sandy Aslickson, who some people might know from Our Saviors. She used to run the program there. But she had been involved for 10 years in candidacy as well. She actually moved off at that point.
So what is the Candidacy Committee? What does it look like, and what does it do?
So the Candidacy Committee is a group that helps walk people who would like to become pastors or deacons in the church through the process of becoming that. The ELCA has a church-wide process that all the 155 synods follow, and each one of those synods has a committee made of people that will help in this process. So our committee is about 18 to 20 members, and it's made up of some pastors, some deacons, and several lay people like myself, and assistant to the bishop, and then the bishop is also a member, and then a secretary who coordinates all the stuff. We serve 2 5-year terms, so I'm starting my second 5-year term now. I recently became the chair of this committee. So, like I said, it's made up of all these diverse people, and we try to keep it gender balanced, people of color on there. We want the candidates to see themselves in the group that's helping them through the process.
Who can be on the committee? You've said there's like 18 to 20 members. Who are these people? Are they all lay members, or tell us about how it divides up?
We have a mix of pastors, deacons, and lay people. They can be on for a 5-year term, up to 2 5-year terms. Our rule is not to ask for more than one person from any one congregation. Minneapolis Area Synod has 130 congregations in it. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to pick from. To be fair, we're a lot of retired people because you need some time. And our Minneapolis Area Synod is blessed to have so many candidates that we really need to meet like every other month to see who's at a certain part of the process.
Okay. So the next question that I think is probably important to discuss is discernment. What discernment means. You have the dictionary definition of discernment is the mental ability to judge between things clearly, perceive the truth of a situation, and make intelligent, thoughtful decisions. The discernment in this context means what?
A lot of people think of it as the call. Are you being called by God to take this role in special ministry? Because we're all ministers in this church. It says right in our bulletin, so we can't escape that. We are all ministers. But there's special ministries that we can be called to do, and that can be pastors of word and sacrament or deacons in word and service. And the process of figuring out, is this role right for me, is called discernment. And discernment applies to all of us in many parts of our lives. What's my next career move? If I'm a youth, what do I want to do in my future? If I'm older, maybe even near retirement, what's my second act or third act, right? We have to figure this out. Now, when God is calling you to figure something out and you're feeling you're having that feeling, well, then you need to talk to the bishop and start this process here, and we're here for you in this candidacy committee.
Great. So tell us about the process of becoming a pastor.
Right. So the process the ELCA has laid out has got 3 parts to it, and one is being entranced in this. So you've been discerning this for a while, and you really want to formalize it. You think, I know I'm going to have to go to seminary and learn more. It's beginning of that process where you talk to the committee, and they help you decide what's your external call.
Okay.
And what's your internal call. Because the external call, that's the people who say, you'd be really good working with people. I can see it in you.
Yeah.
Or they may say, hey, you helped me, and I know you've helped some others through some hard times. You have some gifts for this. Have you thought of becoming a pastor?
Yeah.
That's a common thing we hear from our candidates. Some people are just very theologically interested, but they also want to do service. I mean, serve in God's kingdom now. And so they're going to investigate this and see where it leads.
Right.
So we have 3 phases here: entrance, the second phase is called endorsement, and the last one is approval. So we can get into depth on those.
Yeah, I mean, you can speak to those if you'd like to a little bit more, or you can also just talk to us about our 5 or 6 interns that we've had at Oak Knoll and kind of what that has looked like.
Yeah, so entrance is working with the Candidacy Committee, and you go before a small panel of 4 or 5 people, and you tell them your story, and you write up some documentation. You have an essay to write. All these phases have essays to write and forms to fill out. So you do that, and you're really trying to get your act together on why do I feel this call here. And then if you get approved for entrance, which is you don't have all the answers there, but you can be approved for entrance, which means you're going to continue. At that point, you'll probably will enroll for seminary.
Okay.
Or you may you started that, and that's part of your discernment. Is like, I want to take some classes and see how I feel. Mm-hmm. Your next stage would be endorsement, and that would be, well, the whole process can take 3 years. It might take longer because people are at different stages of their lives. But between entrance and endorsement, you'll have taken seminary classes, and you'll have done something called clinical pastoral education, or CPE. That's a very important piece of contextual learning candidates go through. You'll have that done, then you'll be ready to start an internship. That's the endorsement part. But let me speak a little bit more about CPE. You might be working with chaplains in a hospital.
Okay.
Or you could be working chaplains that go around with the police force. You might be on call with them.
Okay.
A term of a CPE is often like about 3 months. And you work with a little cohort of people under supervision. You really find out a lot about yourself and how to keep your stuff together when other people are in very difficult situations.
Okay.
So you really accrue some skills in that. And I'm always eager to read what the candidates have written about that experience. So they got some classes done, they got CPE accomplished. It's time to come before the committee for endorsement. You meet another panel, you write another essay, you have some evaluations from supervisors from your CPE. One of your seminary professors will be accompanying you, and we're going to ask some theological questions. And we're going to try to establish, are you ready to go do some more contextual learning in a congregation or another kind of setting? And that's why I wanted to make this Knoll podcast, because Oak Knoll has just been integral for the last 5 years for having our intern. So Vicar Chantel's our current intern.
Yeah.
Vicar Jennifer was last year. She was just ordained and installed, and that's the end of the process,
At Our Savior's,
So that's fantastic. Yeah, we've had 5 recent interns, and we've had 6 total because we can include Pastor Michelle was also an intern here some years ago.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Internship, that piece of contextual learning, the candidate goes into a work setting, really. And the ones we're familiar with is candidates who want to become word and sacrament pastors. They get involved in all parts of what the congregation does. They teach, they visit, they lead studies, they participate in liturgy, they do all the things, write sermons and preach. Oak Knoll has been very good about letting the candidates just get their hand in everything. I've seen some internships that have not gone so well, like they just really wanted an inexpensive youth pastor. That is not what a good internship would be.
Okay.
More than that. And once that year for a pastor or 6 months for a deacon of internship is accomplished, then you come back and you'll finish anything you have left at seminary. Then you'll come back to the candidate and say, it's time for approval.
Okay.
Again, you meet with a small panel, you write some more essays, and we get the evaluations from the internship team and the pastor who was the supervisor or whatever that work setting was. And all the approval panel will look through that and then recommend to the committee that somebody be approved or not.
Okay. So, you kind of talked about the approval process. And does everyone make it through? Do most people make it through the approval process?
I'd say most people make it through the approval process.
Okay.
And the committee may have some recommendations on where that person should be placed.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't make it. And that might be sad. Sometimes they don't make it through endorsement either. It's much better to have this happen during this process than for someone to be out working in a congregation or another kind of setting and it just does not work.
Okay.
It's not the right thing. There's several reasons for it. Red flags being one, boundary violations, things they learn about, candidates learn about how to establish boundaries and not cross them either way, right? We want our candidates to be healthy and be safe in a working environment. That's why this process exists. And that's why some people just can't make it through. They might just say, hey, no, this is not for me. I want to get off the train and I want to go do something else that may be also related to God's mission, but it's not in one of these rostered ministries.
Right. Okay. Talk to us about deacons versus pastors and what the difference is between deacons and pastors.
That's right. So I've mentioned word and sacrament and pastors together. So Pastor Jay is a minister of word and sacrament, as is Pastor Michelle. And they are serving God's kingdom and our congregation directly in the ways we're really familiar with. They administer the sacraments of communion, baptism, visitation, very personal ways of administering to the congregation. Deacons are ministers of word and service. We do have experience with deacons here because Erika Larson, who was a youth minister here for many years, became ordained as a deacon, and her area of service, and that's what deacons have, is an area of service that they concentrate on. Erika's is being a youth pastor, which she's still doing. Former music director Patty Bjorklund became ordained as a deacon, serving in worship music ministry. And Jennifer Schneider was a deacon with a concentration in social work for 20 years before she went back to a call to become a word and sacrament minister, which she just accomplished. And Patty Bjorklund also felt a call to become a word and sacrament minister, and she's ordained and pastors up in near Brainerd.
Okay, so those are great examples of different deacons that have been at Oak Knoll and some of the work that they did here.
Yeah, and the points about deacons is that they have a concentration in ministry. They exist to serve the church in certain manners.
Okay.
And they pick where they want to concentrate on. That's part of what they do. They are the bridge between the church and the world.
Okay.
And that it could be environmental justice. It could be concentrating and feeding the hungry and programs that accomplish that. The areas are endless. And they overlap greatly with what pastors would do. For instance, we contribute to ICA Food Shelf. A deacon might run ICA Food Shelf.
Okay.
That's kind of the change in focus there. But,
Yeah.
So we could have a deacon work for us and take charge of certain things.
Okay. Yeah.
And bring a focus to mission that we don't have now.
Yeah.
So that could happen, but it just hasn't yet.
Well, this is great. This is really informative. What kind of commitment is expected of candidates that are in the process of discernment? Imagining taking seminary classes full-time right now. Do you have to do everything full-time? How does that work?
Yeah, well, that varies a lot because a lot of people can't take this process full-time.
Yeah.
We see many more second career people now than what used to be in the process. A very typical thing would be, oh, you get your bachelor's in something. You know, Pastor Jay's got a bachelor's in biology, but he's discerning a call to become a minister, and then he goes into seminary and, enters this process, and they go all the way through, and it's full-time because that's what they want to do. Other people are second career and or have families, young children, different stages of their lives, and they just can't commit to that. And the seminaries are very supportive of, you can take the classes as you can take them, right? It's not a full-time commitment. And seminaries are all moving online, making a lot of that easier.
Yeah.
Also, you don't have to be located in St. Paul or wherever Wartburg is. That's another common seminary in use by
Is that online?
candidates around here.
Yeah.
They have a big online program.
Okay.
Luther's going online.
Okay.
Also moving their campus, I found out. But yeah.
Where? That's interesting.
They're selling the campus buildings.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah,
I
it's
didn't know
kind of
that.
a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
So changes in the overall church here.
Yeah, no kidding. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us or anything else we forgot to ask or anything else you'd like to mention?
Well, I just want to emphasize again that Oak Knoll as a congregation plays an integral part in the development of pastors. And we've been doing it for years, and not everybody knows how important it is. If you're asked to be on an internship committee, I would like you to say yes, because you are supporting those candidates through this part of the process in the contextual learning so they can grow. That takes prayer. It takes being forgiving of mistakes. That's for all of us. And then thoughtfully providing criticism and suggestions and listening to their sermons and telling them how they went and watching that candidate grow over a year. And Oak Knoll is good at that. And I want you all to know that. I want to thank you for it as the chair of the Candidacy Committee. And
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, Clay. This is informative and helpful. Thanks for spending some time on the Knoll with us today.
Great. Thanks, Erika.
The Knoll is a production of Oak Knoll Lutheran Church in Minnetonka, Minnesota. Music performed by Matt Serrar and produced by me, Stephen Murray. If you would like to learn more about Oak Knoll Lutheran Church, please visit us on the web at oklutheran.org or check out the live stream of our Sunday worship on YouTube every week at 9:30 Central. If you would like to share your story as part of the Knoll podcast, you can find information on how to get involved on our website. Thanks for listening, and God bless.